hello. Can
Welcome back.
you, here, me. We're doing Echo today, so I had to start the show off with a sweet little Echo. Part 1 and 2, episode 1 and 2. I don't know if they're parts or episodes. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. If you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple, if you're watching us on YouTube, whatever it is, we appreciate you. We are without our fearless leader, Casey, today, but we got Brian back. We're starting to make him a regular, and I love it, dude. Get him here all the time. We got Joel, per usual. We got myself, Nick. And I'm hosting, and I'm a little sick, so I sound crazy. I can hear my nasally voice coming through, and I don't like it. But so I'm gonna do less talking today and let you guys do a lot of talking. But before we get into Echo, Brian, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since I was last on. I'm glad to be back. Glad it could work out, and I appreciate the invite again.
Hell yeah, no problem. Joel, how you doing down in the Keys?
Staying warm down here, man. I'm feeling for the rest of y'all everywhere else in the U.S. Building
My daughter's school was canceled Tuesday, and so Monday MLK Day, Tuesday canceled, Wednesday canceled because it didn't get over 3 degrees in Michigan. So it
sounds like lots of VR and quality time.
Yeah. It was a lot of VR and quality time indeed, except I was sick, so it wasn't with me. I was bedridden.
But you got your new dog Thanos.
So guys, we're talking Echo. Can we believe it? We finally got Echo. We finally got it. And it was pretty sweet so far. We're just going to talk about the first 2 episodes, but to me, I really liked the way it was introduced. We're definitely going to talk about episode 1 and the whole beginning of that because it was really cool. But just some street level MCU, right? This is not the multiverse. We are not going freaking universe to universe and space to everything. This is street level, and I love that. So I want to know, we'll start with you, Joel. Are you excited that we're kind of getting this grounded, Marvel project, or were you so into this multiverse that you're like, wait a minute, get me back to space, get me back to all these universes, get me back to the incursions? How do you think of the Echo introduction?
I'm loving the ground level fighters. That's what we had talked about. We did show Heroes for Hire a long time ago, almost a year ago now, but talking about what's going to be coming up in Daredevil, and I think we were right on the money. I think it's going to be that street level. Obviously you're going to have a villain in Kingpin. I love it. I'll eat it up.
Me
Give
too.
It all.
I love it. I love it.
Bring me back all the Netflix while we're at it.
Yes, we'll get into that a little bit too. Brian, what do you think of the street level?
So I think it's amazing. I think oftentimes when you have these, extravagant projects that Marvel puts out, the next thing that they want to do is how can we top that? How can we make, it more explosive? How can we make, more graphics? And I just feel like by bringing it back, scaling it back, having more dialogue. The thing I loved about, switching to, Loki season 1 is you didn't need a ton of stuff in it. You just dialogue is what makes shows, and having a grounded, more of an agent, Black Widow type feel to it. I can appreciate that. It makes it a lot more, it makes it easier to connect with.
That's what I think. I think you took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's what got people the idea of Marvel in the very beginning of the MCU was the Avengers, that's amazing, let's get the Avengers. And Thor was always in its own universe, but even he came to Asgard, came to Earth, and was a little bit more grounded. That's what kind of got people into it, was that you could be related, you could relate to a lot of it. You could relate to, maybe we don't have super soldier serum going around or anything of that nature, but it was very grounded. It was very okay, all this is very realistic until you kind of get to Guardians of the Galaxy. Thor again was a little bit different, but I like that we're kind of getting back to that. Now, you had mentioned, Joel, get these Netflix shows. We're getting these canon shows. They are in the MCU timeline order now. If you go on Disney Plus, we are seeing Daredevil. We are seeing the Defenders. We are seeing Jessica Jones. We're seeing Luke Cage in the Marvel Universe timeline. This isn't just off, another show. This isn't something that's out of the MCU, but still a Marvel show. So watch it if you want. Are we excited about that, or are we did we like that they were on their own almost? Or are we excited now that they're part of everything, Joel?
I love that they're back. The only one of those Netflix shows that I wasn't the biggest fan of was Iron Fist. I think a lot of people feel that way, but no, it's super cool that their backstories go back to, I guess, like the first Avengers movie, right? Don't they reference that in the first season of Daredevil?
Yep, New
So
York.
now we just know that they've been fighting at ground level in the background the whole time, and hopefully we'll get to revisit that with Born Again.
Yeah, I hope so. Which I have a few things to bring up about Born Again too. We'll get to Echo at some point today. Brian, what do you like that all those shows are now being canonized and they're into MCU now?
I do. Joe, I can't believe you didn't like Danny Rand. He was the best. No,
I'm gonna punch you hard.
It was literally the worst. No, I love the fact that they
He was just a whiny little shit.
Luke Cage was Luke Cage was my favorite. It wasn't necessarily the best, but I just love, like, you always find a character that you can relate to, and I love the barbershop, in Harlem, and just it being on the street level, and then they all connect for the Defenders, and it's like their own little Avengers, on a smaller scale, where it's that relatability. So I enjoyed each of those projects, some more than others. And I think by bringing it into the Marvel Universe, it just kind of adds a little bit more, credibility and relevance to those projects. It makes people kind of go back and rewatch them, you know what I mean, to know that they're part of it, even if it doesn't connect, in the grand scheme of things. It's always just nice to say, like, hey, yeah, they're actually in the same world as, Thor and everyone else.
But do you guys think that adding those now, any new MCU fan, right, will just say, I don't know, a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old who's like getting into the MCU or even older, like getting into the MCU, do you think it puts too much on their plate? Like too much, there's just too much to watch at this point now. Like if you aren't caught up with everything that's happening at every single moment in the MCU, do you feel like some people might like shove it away because there's so much on their plate, or not at all? Just more is better.
More is better. They've got so much content that they can catch up on now during this lull, because this whole year, as far as Marvel's concerned, we've only got a handful of shows and Deadpool, which Deadpool's going to be great, but
yeah,
you've got a huge window of time to be able to watch 3 episodes of Daredevil, 2 episodes of Luke Cage, or 2 seasons of Luke Cage, 2 seasons of Jessica Jones. I don't even know how many there was of Power Fist, Iron Fist Man, and Defenders. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Brian, agree? Disagree?
Yeah. So I definitely think when you start getting into Marvel, like, and honestly, I could even throw the question back to you, Nick. When you finally got into it, there was quite a bit of content out there. So it definitely can feel like an overwhelming task. But I think once you make that decision, you get so sucked into these movies that honestly you yearn for more. So even though it's a intimidating task to take on, 200 hours of film, you know what I mean, and all of this content that they have out there, like you make your way through it, and it's easy to binge watch a lot of this stuff too. So I don't think it's a problem.
Absolutely. I go ahead, Joe. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, it definitely seems like it's getting into like how the comics is. You can pick your runs of comics that you like. You don't have to read all of them all at once to know what's going on. You've got these things going on in different parts of the world. You can pick your favorite characters. You can
very
follow their storyline. So you might love
true.
Daredevil, but not like Iron Fist. So you can just watch all the Daredevil series,
which I'm doing for the second time now. I just finished season 1 for the second time. God, I love Daredevil so much. That show,
so good.
It's the best, dude. It's just the best. So speaking
Punisher.
of Daredevil,
Punisher too.
We got to see Daredevil in Echo episode 1. What did we think of his performance? Short but sweet. What did we think about seeing Daredevil inside Echo?
It was cool to see him in it. I have some issues with the CGI in there. It seemed like he kind of elongated and stretched during the middle of the fight. I don't know if you caught that, but no, seeing him move around, there was definitely some small hints of who he is as a character. Like he just is facing the wrong direction and just turns around and like blocks a kick from Echo. Obviously he can hear it or whatever he does. He can echolocate. Echolocate.
Mm.
Echolocate. Wish that was on purpose.
I wish that was on purpose. Brian?
No, fight scene was definitely cool. I approve. 2 thumbs up.
Gotcha.
So Joel, with that pun there, it's letting me know that you're a huge fan of Morbius.
Oh yeah, Morbin time, baby.
It's Morbin time.
I honestly love seeing it. You know, the choreographed fight scenes are always cool, especially between those two. Like, you know, you have two characters that, you know, each have kind of like a, you know, their disability or whatever. And I like how, you know, they do a good job of like kind of playing into it. Like, I love the kick, you know, that she does when she kind of holds her prosthetic leg. Like, I thought that looked really sweet in that battle. You know what I mean? So it was fun seeing Daredevil in it, in his old suit, you know what I mean? Or what we're used to from the old show. I thought that was pretty nice. It was brief, you know. I don't know how much more we'll get, but anytime you can bring in a classic character like that, you know, especially when you're connecting, you know, the other properties, is always a plus in my opinion.
Seems like he's just the one. They're just like, shit, we need a cameo in Spider-Man. Let's grab Daredevil. Wait, we need a cameo in She-Hulk. Let's grab Daredevil. We need a cameo in Echo. I know just the person, dude. Give me Daredevil. I freaking love it, dude. I was all about that. The fight scene was awesome, in my opinion. It was so, even like before Daredevil comes in, that whole fight scene, they go into the warehouse or whatever it is, and they go, like, he's like, Kingpin thanks you for your pay or whatever. Kingpin thanks you for your whatever. Dude just shoots him. Boom, that guy's dead. They go busting in through walls. They're shooting. And then I like how the show, it goes, you know, to where she, you know, she can't hear anything. Maya Lopez can't hear anything. So it quiets down and she's just holding the dude by the throat and then finally just snaps his neck. And it's like, and then the sound comes back. Like, it's super cool the way I think they're integrating the no sound and the loud action sounds going all in at once. It's super cool. That entire scene was just, it sucked me right in, dude. I was just like, oh shit, I like it. I'm in it. I'm in. Like, this is awesome. I'm all about this. Is the kind of Marvel stuff that I wanted. I do wish we get a little bit more swearing in this. Like, I'm glad that we're getting a little bit more gore, but give me a few cuss words here and there. Like, people got to be cussing in real life, like in this time. So that's why I'm excited for Deadpool. But yeah, we do get bullshit, right? I was going to ask you, Joel, did you pick up any? Joel's was very good at ASL even before the show ever came out. And did you pick up on anything new from that?
Just the basic stuff. Like, I only know the basic conversation. Hello, more, you know, bullshit. Okay. Bullshit's a good one.
Bullshit. We know that one.
But, no, I mean, most of the time they're talking about specific things, and no, I don't know apple pie or cherry pie or something. No, like, I don't know what he's talking about. Good thing they got subtitles at the bottom.
Yes, thank God they do. Brian, do you want to see Echo in Daredevil Born Again then, or are you like, that's enough? Like, let Daredevil get his thing, and then hopefully they'll get together in a future project.
You know, that's a great question. I would be okay if she did not appear in that show. I mean, obviously, a lot of it kind of goes off of what happens the remainder of these episodes. Like, you know, I don't expect him to show back up, but is it, you know, at the end of her story, am I left feeling like it's necessary that we need a little bit more from her in a future project? Because I mean, with Daredevil Born Again, obviously, like, you know, the old show is canon from what we see, but what are we taking from that? What's going to be new? What new spin are we going to put on it? I don't know if she necessarily needs to be in it. Obviously, I don't mind Daredevil connecting with, you know, people like her, She-Hulk. You know what I mean? I think it makes it fun, but I'm not, as of right now, through just 2 episodes, I'm not left thinking like, oh, I need him to come back, or I need her to be a part of his in the future.
Speaking of Daredevil, because I just want to talk about Daredevil really the entire time. We should just done the show about Daredevil. We hear now that Foggy and Karen are coming back to Born Again, and Wilson Fisk, or Vincent I can never say his last name.
D'Onofrio.
Thank you. Is going to be, or he said that this show is going to like relate or like directly to the show, or it's going to continue based off of that show, which is super cool because that show was awesome. I believe in season 3, isn't that where we have Bullseye? And he's freaking awesome in that show. Like, he's a crazy, literally crazy dude, and it would be awesome if maybe we get him back. Like, so it's kind of cool that Daredevil's gonna just go with that. I think, like, are we excited? Do we like that, or did we kind of want Daredevil to be its own thing and leave the Netflix show behind?
No, just build onto it. Build onto it. I love how dark Echo's starting off already.
Yeah.
That's the tone I want for Daredevil as well. I want to see some street ground level fights, but I want to see the punches landing. I don't want it to cut away or make a pow block out the violence. I want to see it all.
Yes.
I want to see people getting their ass kicked.
And I'm glad that they're continuing on with it as well too. Like, when you have a successful formula, why stray too far away from it? Like, you had some great seasons on Netflix. You're bringing it back. Continue on this story. You know, Vincent D'Onofrio is an incredible kingpin. You know what I mean? Like, when we first saw him on the screen in the original Daredevil series, you know, my first thoughts were, okay, they've done him right. Like, this is the perfect actor for this. And I mean, he was vicious. Like, you remember the original Netflix where he's, you know, slamming the car door on one of his henchmen. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to see. You know, it was dark, and I hope they continue that path.
Yeah, and then they brought him back to Hawkeye, and he wasn't as dark. Like, we didn't get to see that, and it was kind of like, this is a little lame. I don't like it, but hopefully.
Well, I feel like that was because I felt like that show was more of a Christmas special.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was home to the holidays.
I guess. Like, a Deadpool can have some pretty dirty shit going on in the Christmas special.
I was just going to say he was definitely pulling punches a little bit. I mean, maybe it's because he was fighting she's not a little girl, but, you know, 20-something.
Yeah.
He's definitely holding back. And I do think he's got some superpowers. Definitely in Hawkeye, he gets, like, blown up a couple times, gets rammed by a car, and just, like, gets up and brushes it off. I think somewhere down the line, he got some super soldier serum.
So you took the words out of my mouth. That was one of my questions I had, because to jump through episode 1, at the very end, we see him breathing, and the motherfucker got shot in the face. So unless he's 50 Cent, like, I don't know if he should really be alive. Like, it's kind of crazy, but he is. So I was gonna ask, like, is he? I don't know if, like, superpower is the exact word, or is he just a guy that can't die? Like, is this just like Marvel doesn't need to put an explanation on it? Like, they don't need to say he got the super soldier serum or he has this superpower. He's just a badass G. Like, the dude is just badass and can take the utmost brunt force and be okay with it. Or, like you said, Joel, do we think he did get a superpower? So I'm going to jump to that question now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he got some super soldier serum somewhere. I mean, if in the Daredevil Netflix series, Daredevil beats his ass. He's bleeding, his face is all broken and stuff. So if a fist can do that to him, what could a car do to you? Right. So he definitely, there's got to be something where he, maybe with the power broker, maybe there's some kind of connection in here where he got like a little taster. Maybe he has to keep taking it to keep the power. Like, it's not a perfected level. You can't just take it once and be Captain America. You got to keep slowly taking it. But that's the only reason I can think of him surviving.
Isn't that something like The Boys? Have you ever seen The Boys? Either of you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so isn't, like, at the end of season 1, or maybe it's season 2, I can never remember, it all bleeds together. Don't they have like something where they got to keep taking it,
Super heavy?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So it could be something like that. Yeah. Brian, thoughts on this whole question?
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly make sense if there's some history there with some type of serum, because, you know, how else do you explain, you know, all of the things that he's kind of went through? I mean, you know, obviously when you look at Fisk, you look at him as he's a big bad, he's a, you know, big dense body. So you would expect him to be able to take, you know, an excessive amount of damage, but the level that he's had is just, you know, it's comic book like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to explain. So I don't think obviously they'll ever like go that direction of saying it, but I guess that's kind of for us to just make the assumption, I would say.
As long as they don't make him a mutant. We don't need to make more people mutants that weren't mutants.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't need to do it. We got plenty of mutants coming.
Yes, we do. A lot of mutants are coming. Is there anything in the comics about that, about Kingpin, like being a super, like answering the question that I just asked? Does anyone know?
I mean, he's just ridiculously large. He doesn't have any superpowers. He's just a swole big dude with a tiny head.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's in a normal size head. The rest of his body is just ridiculously huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or he can go to battle with a Spider-Man in the
right.
cartoon.
So
and Spider-Man is super, has extra strength. Yeah.
So maybe they're giving him powers so that he can hold his own against some of these other characters. Like if Luke Cage was to punch him, he would just crumple, right? Because Luke Cage is super powered, basically the same super serum as Captain America. So maybe that's why they did it, so we can see him fight all of the Defenders or something like that.
You think we get all the Defenders back in the Daredevil show?
I'd like to see some of them. I don't.
Well, Jessica Jones is already going to be in it, right? Didn't we see Jessica Jones was like? Didn't she drop something about her being in it? Or no? Am I crazy?
I don't think there was anything confirmed about it.
Okay,
but
maybe
I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Same with Punisher. He's supposed to be in it, right? He's going to be. Obviously, he's not in the Defenders, but
I think he's also rumored. But there was like a video maybe a year ago of him doing some gun shooting training and like quick drawing and reloading. It was insane, very impressive, and makes me think he was doing that. I mean, I don't know any other properties that he's in that he could have been doing that for.
The Walking Dead season 1.
Blade? No.
What are they rebooting The Walking Dead?
I hope so.
Spinoff.
Yeah,
sixth spinoff.
The 7th. Yeah, exactly. So let's bring it back to Echo. And speaking of bringing it back, Echo brings it right back to Hawkeye, and we get to see the tie-in, which I thought was really cool. We get to see Hawkeye as Ronin stab her dad, and then we get to see, I believe Hawkeye, in that episode, Hawkeye tells her, you get to see the ending of Hawkeye where he's like, it's your boss that wanted to kill your dad. It's not me. Don't come after me. Did we like that we got this? It's like a full-on tie-in, They interweb everything. Are we excited about that? Have we thought about going back to rewatch Hawkeye now, at least the ending, to kind of see the last episode and how it marries with the first episode of Echo?
I did rewatch Hawkeye during the Christmas season at some point, knowing that the show was coming up. And I love the way that it blends in pretty seamlessly, because it's definitely like in the comics how they do like a little cutscene just to fill you in on what happened in this episode. So you don't necessarily have to watch Hawkeye, but if you did, you feel like you already read that comic run and now you're moving in with a different issue. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to go back as well to watch it. After seeing these first couple episodes, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot about that a little bit. You know what I mean? So I need to kind of go back to make sure it's all together. I feel like it's smart too to reference the series, because it also, again, like I always talk about, like that credibility, it ties this character that not a lot of people know about into someone like a Clint. You know what I mean? And so it just, oh man, they're connected in a way. Let me enjoy this a little bit more. So I like that they did it.
I also really liked that they did. I also watched Hawkeye during Christmas in hopes that it would be that we got to see something, and then I honestly couldn't have imagined this is how they did it. I was thinking maybe at the very beginning of the like I said, we see Hawkeye stab her dad and he jumps out the window, but he's dressed up as Ronin, and it was, I thought, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's our reference. Awesome. But then you literally get to see Clint Barton in there talk in Echo, and it's like super cool to me. I was very happy about that. After that, so she shoots Kingpin. We see that in Hawkeye. 5 months passes. Okay. 5 months passes. And now she is going back to Oklahoma to figure out some shit. She falls asleep on her motorcycle. I don't know how you could even do that, in my opinion. That's crazy to me. Fall asleep while you're in a car with the AC or the heat coming at you. I get that, but just driving a motorcycle and falling asleep, it's impressive. So well done there. But then we get to go and we see Biscuits. We meet him. We meet Billy Jack, right? We see them for the first time. Any thoughts on just the going back home and seeing Billy? Oh, look at that! We might need to rename to Billy Jack over here. What did we think about just going back to Oklahoma, seeing Biscuits? Like anything on that, or was it just like, cool, we're back home?
It was cool. I thought it was interesting that they put it 5 months later. And I told you I found that link about kind of the timeline, and I was reading through that. Spent way too much time reading that today. But Hawkeye was at the end of 2024, so Echo takes place 5 months after that. So you're around May 2025, which is same time as like Moon Knight, Wakanda Forever, and just before She-Hulk. So thought that was super interesting with all of that being in there. But it's definitely interesting to see where she came from, and obviously you got to go there for her story. You know, you want to know who brought her up,
Right?
Who shaped her, other than Kingpin,
Right?
You know,
Right?
And I feel like that is probably the biggest question that I have so far through these first couple episodes is, I need more history of her past. Like, obviously the episode 1 opens up with, the tribe that it looks, outerworldly almost, or otherworldly, you know what I mean? For the beginning, it's like, okay, obviously they're going to explain a little bit of that, as the season goes on. So it's like going back home, finding out who the friends were, because we did a quick jump from her as a child to 20 some odd years later, as an adult. So it would be nice to learn a little bit more. And I like that you got to see some of her friends, the skating rink, it just added a little bit more to her character, I feel like.
I was going to ask, that's my next question. When was the last time either of you have ever been to a roller rink?
Man, so long. But I did go to a whole bunch of birthdays because we had one in my hometown. So lots of birthdays there. And they did the red light, green light, or they'd call out a number and everybody had to get there first to that post first. The last one to get there was out. Yeah. So you're playing a little rough.
I went to a roller rink last year. We took my daughter to one last year, and it was the first time I went rollerblading in so long, but it was so fun. I almost went and bought rollerblades. I was like, I'm gonna go like blading around, be like Brink from freaking Disney, freaking blading around.
Blades are skating. Oh, why you were on?
I was rollerblading. My daughter was
wheels.
Skating, but I'm gonna be buying her rollerblades, I think, this summer, because I'm not gonna be rollerblading around with some girl who's roller skating, dude. Get the fuck out of here, bro. She can rollerblade like she's cool, you know what I mean? She's my kid, so she can learn how to be cool. Brian, when was the last time you went to a roller rink?
It's probably been about 20 years, to be honest. Like, I used to go all the time to Northland Roller Rink. Like, and the funny thing is, when I lived in Lincoln Park, Michigan, there was one right on Southfield, super close to my house, but never went to it. I went all the time as a kid, became really good at roller skating, and then I just haven't been in a very long while.
Dude, you guys got to go back. You guys got to go back. It's really fun. It is cool going to see that roller rink. And she goes up, she basically says, she meets Uncle Henry, right? I think that's his name. Uncle Henry is his name, I think is what they say. I don't know, I could be wrong on that. Anyways, she meets up with her uncle. She talks about trying to, she just basically says, I need a car. I need a car for this train. And he's like, no, I am not having any war come here. I'm not gonna risk my family and friends for your thing. And then that's kind of the episode. And then we see it goes in and it's Kingpin alive, breathing, with a huge thing over his eye, meaning he got shot right in the eye. At least that's what I read from that. And that was episode 1. So what did we think of episode 1? Right? Like, did we love it? Did we like it? Did we hate it? Where are we at after episode 1?
Great start. Started off with a bang. Lots of violence. Violence is always good. I think the most interesting thing about that first episode, other than the fact that Kingpin has survived getting shot in the face, was that there was like a warehouse for Fisk goods all the way in Oklahoma. Like, how far does his grasp reach? If he's got a facility in Oklahoma.
World Wide Web.
I agree that it definitely lets you know that he has a pretty substantial reach, because it's when we look at him, we think of him as, we talk about being a grounded show, almost a grounded character, but he's not just from that region. Like, we think about New York and Hell's Kitchen and all this, but if he's extending that far, could potentially go all the way over to California, maybe even in other countries, you know what I mean? So I think it helps to add to who he is as that crime boss, which I think is important, because usually when you think of like the Avengers and Hawkeye taking him on and in his own show, they're used to taking on like these superpowered individuals. So when you have somebody who's a crime boss and you're thinking, oh, it's just it's on a smaller scale, it's like it doesn't have to be. Like this guy can still be a huge deal. But to answer your original question, I do think that the first episode did a great job of just kind of setting the stage. Like we wanted to know about Wilson Fisk, and we found out at the end, and now we know there's going to be hell to pay. You know what I mean? Because she crossed them. So I'm interested to see that dynamic.
Yeah, I thought episode 1 was maybe, I'm gonna really try to rack my brain right now, the best episode 1 of any Marvel show.
Oh, wow.
It's a bold statement, Cotton.
I don't think there's another Marvel like MCU show. I mean, outside of Daredevil, like which even maybe that episode 1 wasn't as well. It was pretty good, but anyways, Moon Knight, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, like any other show. I'm trying to really rack my brain. It's quick.
Loki.
Yeah, Loki was a really good start. You're just like, what is going on?
Yeah,
that was a really good.
The end of his strip, his film strip, like that. Oh, man.
Yeah, that was cool. You got to see Owen Wilson in there, but it wasn't like it was interesting and cool. I don't know. I would probably say if I had like gun to my head and I had to sit down, I could only watch one of those first episodes, just the first episode. I would still probably pick Echo because I love violence in my Marvel. I love that. I love that this is TVMA. Like this is what I've wanted since I saw Daredevil in Netflix. It was like, oh, this is really cool. Like this is really fucking cool. Like if this was more popular, people would love the MC. Like what I mean. Like so I don't know. Maybe it's a bold statement. Maybe it's a spicy take. After the show, we'll all rack our brains. We'll see what we can come up with. I think if we just did episode 1, like Moon Knight was a really cool episode 1. I think this is the best first episode of any MCU show, in my opinion. But that's my opinion, and we'll move on to episode 2. That starts off with the sweet ass old school rugby game. That was
stickball, right? Is that what stickball looks like?
Yeah.
Is that stickball? Okay. See, I did not know. I was just like, this is rugby, but
there was a ball and they both had they had sticks in both hands.
Yeah.
It's a good name. Adequate name for that sport.
It seems pretty how did we think of the opening scene? We saw her with the red paint on her jawline, basically. They bring out the warrior, which I don't know why they didn't have him in until they were down 4-1 or 5-1, whatever the score was. But then they were like, all right, we actually need you in here. But it still wasn't enough. We saw her kind of flash back to something, and she uses that force and energy and ends up winning the game. What do we think about stickball?
The sport looked awesome. I'm pretty sure she cheated when she used her superpowers, but
I don't think they were tracking PEDs back then. So I mean,
you didn't mention the mud people during the beginning of the first episode, though.
Oh, that's
right.
Right.
That was kind of cool. Just to knock it out real quick. Did you think that looked like was it Corey? Remember her name from What If? That opening scene with the blue glowing water.
Oh, the Kahori
underground.
Yeah. Right.
Definitely seemed very similar. And then they come out and start peeling mud off of them. Just super cool.
Yeah. You're right. I didn't mention that. I liked that opening scene, except for like again, I like that this is very street level, and that was like that was just like Brian said, kind of otherworldly, and it was like, okay, that's cool. So this will be the ancestors, but let's get back to Echo. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. If I had like my only complaint about episode 1, and it's not like I enjoyed the scene, but it did kind of disconnect me from the show for a second, because that's how it opened up. I was like, wait a minute, okay, I'm expecting this to be incredibly grounded, and then I see like the history, but I understand obviously they have to show it because at some point they have to, I'm assuming, explain, where this power is coming from, why, we know it's her people, but like, why is it important in like the scheme of the show? So I am interested to kind of find that out. And then, like you said, during stickball, the spirals on her hands illuminate. So, obviously they're connected to Maya at some point. So I am curious, how that power kind of manifests.
Yeah. Joel, did you already say? Did you already mention talk about stickball?
I already said I think I could mess people up in stickball though, especially if you get to use it like a weapon. You know, one's just pop, grab the ball.
I think that might be illegal. Maybe I don't know. I don't know the rules.
They were knocking the shit out of each other. There's
They were.
So then
I guess you can't hit him with a stick, but you can drop the stick and punch him and then pick it back up. That's okay.
Yeah.
They're
Rules,
throwing bows for sure.
We'll figure it out. We'll play a little stickball. We'll get Casey and we'll do a little 2-on-2 stickball action. See who wins.
We'll wait until we trail by 4, then we'll bring Joel off the bench. So he can be like, yeah.
I'll have war paint going. Yeah.
So then we jump back in. So we get the flashback, which seems to be a theme now. Every episode starting out, first 2 episodes start out with your flashback, and then you get back to where we are. And it is the grandpa, who is fucking awesome. I fucking love him. He is awesome. And he's at the pawn shop, and he's like, what does he yell? He's like, buy the damn thing, buy the damn thing, buy the damn thing, buy the damn thing. It's one of the funniest things ever, dude. It's great. I don't know. Maybe there was a scene before that, but I'm skipping right to this because I loved it. It was so great. Biscuits is trying to get them to buy it, and he's like getting all like, no, go away. And then they look at him, and he just acts so confident, and it's so funny. What do we think about Grandpa? I don't even know his name, but I'm calling him Grandpa because I wish he was my grandpa. That's how awesome he is. What do we think about him and this pawn shop?
I love him. I love his everything, buy everything there store. Like, obviously later he goes and gets all his military shit, spy shit. But messing with the Nahalas, whatever he called them, the white people, Irish white people. I love it. I thought his character is hilarious, and it's definitely one of the bits of comic relief with a pretty dark show so far.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think it was Scully or something along those lines. Was that his name?
I can't remember. I don't remember. But I like
Grandpa.
Grandpa works, absolutely. No, so in the first episode where they see Maya and her dad, and they're at the hospital after Maya, the car accident, and like the grandma is like really mean to Maya's dad, and she kind of walks away, and the other guy, like the grandpa is standing there, and I'm like, okay, he's a lot more kind of empathetic to this guy. Like I could appreciate that connection because obviously it's like, yeah, my daughter just was killed in this car accident, but I'm still like I still have I just liked the position that he kind of played in the storyline. You know what I mean? Like he had every right to be upset, just like the mother, but he there was like a nice balance with that character. And so I kind of got that feel from that initial interaction that I thought he might be like a stable character kind of moving forward, because I don't know what it is like. And I know it's the grandma, but there's just something about her that just seems like, devious. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just jumping to the conclusion, but like, I like Gramps.
Gramps is the man, dude. At the end of the show, he's wearing a shirt that says "The Natives," and it's natives walking across Abbey Road like the Beatles, and it's such a cool shirt, dude. I freaking loved it. I was just
amazing,
dude. He's the best. He's the best. He's the best.
Did you catch the Madripoor reference?
What?
The Madripoor reference in there? Yep. He's like, oh no, you don't want those bolo ties. Those are made in Madripoor.
Yeah.
Like
oh, what is that? I don't know. I don't get that reference. What is that? What is it?
That was in
Power Broker.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's where they went over. But apparently, it's like a bunch of the mutants hang out in that. I think Logan spends a bunch of time there, hiding out or whatever. Just big crime city. It was the big crime city that they go to that kind of looked like maybe a Tokyo nightlife or something.
Yeah.
Big fight scene. Remember that?
Like, are you talking about like where like Ronin like kills the one dude in like the beginning of Endgame?
No. Well. Okay. He could have been in Madripoor, actually. That's interesting. I don't know that it said Tokyo. I mean, it was killing Yakuza members, so probably was Tokyo. But no, is it Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
To be honest, that show is like the only show I've never rewatched. Like out of every Marvel show, that was the one I watched. It was like cool. On to the next.
The storyline is definitely a little broken. They had to change up a bunch of stuff because of COVID. Like I think there was supposed to be an outbreak take place, and it was a little too close to what was really going
Too
on.
the nose. Yeah,
So they
yeah,
changed
yeah.
a bunch of crap, and that's why it seems a little disjointed.
Yeah. I will definitely be rewatching the show before Thunderbolts or Captain America, whatever movie is supposed to come out first. Like I'll be putting that show back down. So
and when you rewatch it, make sure you're thinking about Scrody. Scroll Roadie.
Oh yeah.
That's a fantastic name. I like that one.
Scrody.
Scrody.
So back to Echo episode 2. A bunch of stuff probably happens. I'm not really sure because the next thing I wrote down was Maya jumps onto a train. And so at one point she meets Biscuits and she's like, Biscuits, I need you to come with me. We need to do one more thing. He's driving the truck and she ends up jumping onto this train that's got a bunch of people like watching it, guarding it with a bunch of guns and stuff. And it's pretty crazy. Like this, again, is one of those intertwining moments where it goes deaf, right? It's just super quiet and it's just her. And she's looking things over and then she jumps, and right as she jumps, the noise comes back. The train is moving. This was a pretty cool scene. I really liked this scene a lot. Like it was awesome all the way around because we got a little bit more comedic relief with Biscuits, who is just probably my favorite character so far throughout this entire show. I don't even care. Like I love this dude. He is the man. He is who I would want to be in like Marvel. Like I would want to be a superhero. Just let me be like the cousin of a superhero who's going off-roading with a big GMC truck. Like
you're the man in the chair.
What?
You're the man in the chair.
Yeah.
You're the one guiding. You're like, yeah, I'll help you this mission, but I got to get home for supper with Gim Gim
at 7 o'clock. That was one that I learned. He did this when he said 7. So I want this.
Yeah.
In ASL. That was the one I learned. Brian, did you learn any ASL from watching the first 2 episodes?
So, not from watching the first episodes. It's something I've actually been practicing, probably for like the last year or whatever, just to learn it for my son, because he's a little bit hard of hearing. So been learning a little bit of ASL. But so it's like the show has resonated with me a lot because of that, because I love, even the actress that plays Maya, like I love, knowing that she's a part of that community. You know what I mean? Like it adds a whole new level of like realism to incorporate that in. And I think she is one of the first, main characters with a disability, starring in a role like that. So I think that's like, I thought it was awesome.
Is Alcoa Cox, is she deaf? Like in real life?
So according to what I've read, I heard that she is. I mean, I know that she's also, she's an amputee as well.
That was my next question. Is she also a disability?
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
What? I didn't know any
I'm pretty sure she's deaf as well. I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's great casting by Marvel then. Well fucking done. Like, well done. I just assumed it was green screened leg and just an actor who practiced ASL. Like, that is really cool, honestly. That is really, really cool. So are you, when you watch it now, you've been practicing ASL for a year. Are you still reading the subtitles, or are you trying to just watch the hand motions? And
no, I'm certainly reading the subtitles. Like I'm nowhere near that. Like it's when I say practicing, like very sparingly. Like I'm trying, but I haven't been honed in like that to like pick up on it. Like I'm still beginner. Yeah. Like
learning ASL. Yeah.
No,
right. Like I can do that some alphabet very slowly, but
bullshit.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. Bullshit. Yeah. I'm using like all of my knowledge right
before
here.
the show ever came out, and I was like, "Let's go, dude!" Bullshit. And then we saw it in the show, and I was like, "All right." So then Maya jumps on this train. She does some wild shit. She breaks in. She gets under a fucking train. She's hanging out under a train, and she goes in through it, and she does some shit to some shit. Like we're like, "What's going on?" You don't get to see what's happening. So you see she opens like a chest, and we don't really see what's happening. Any thoughts on just that whole beginning of the train scene? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
It was great. Action wise.
Great and action packed. Love it.
Super action packed.
Did it give anybody any Fast and the Furious vibes?
A little bit. I was thinking Indiana Jones, like when they go back and
I can see that
fight scene where they're running on top of the train. It seems like something that they make look really easy in the action movies that is probably impossible to do in real life.
I'm very curious how easy it is to run on top of a train while it's going. You know what I mean? Like, because
Let's go try it.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to jump onto it from a bridge and then I'm gonna see how far I can run and jump from car to
Jump
car.
off, and I'll catch you in an SUV.
I'll jump onto the SUV.
With
Yeah,
the dash of my SUV. I'll catch you.
Shit. Okay. No, I'm supposed to be biscuits, bro. I'll drive.
Yeah.
Get out of here, bro.
I might have to put some body armor or something, some padding. I don't think I would have gotten up and walked away from that. It would have been like in a body cast the next day.
It was worth it. It was worth it. All right, so then we see Maya's leg get caught in the frickin', which we saw the foreshadow earlier in the scene where she's looking at the joints or whatever of the cars moving back and forth. So we look at it for like a good 2 seconds, and then she goes on about her day. And then she's running away, and she mistimes it and lands, and you just see her leg get caught. I mean, whatever, the amputated leg. Prosthetic leg, thank you. That's what I was looking for. It caught in it, and boom, it jams it right up, and it's nasty looking. It's gnarly. Pretty interesting scene. But then she does the flashback. She gets this flashback. We see her she rips her gloves off, and we see the spirals on her hand, and she pushes the train car away, where she, at least enough where she can remove her leg. Thoughts on that at all?
I thought she was going to have to ditch it. I thought she was going to be like hopping, using 3 limbs to escape for the rest of it. Did not see the whole power move coming. I kind of forgot about the power move by that episode. I was like, what are the spirals for? Who knows? We'll find out later. There you go. Now we know. Apparently makes you super strong for a bit.
Yep.
So right. You can save your leg.
And to that point, Joel, I'm curious, like, what level of strength? You know what I mean? Like, is it just enough to complete that task? Is it, Captain America level? Like, I'm curious what her level of strength is, and if that'll be tested at any point.
Yeah, is it like the Hulk where he just keeps getting stronger depending on what he's up against?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious. I am curious. Then I wrote down train scene sick. So can we all agree? Train scene sick?
2 thumbs up.
Oh, yeah.
2 thumbs up. All right, cool.
Poor biscuits, man. Bad cousin. We're roping him into all this shit.
Well, dude, following train scene sick, I wrote down, I freaking love Biscuits and Billy Jack because they're just hilarious, dude. He loses her on the tracking, the phone dies or whatever. He can't find him tracking, and she notices that he's not there, so she grabs the big ass lever and starts hitting the fucking train. Boom, and the sparks are flying. I'm kind of shocked that none of the guards that were guarding the train saw those sparks. But whatever, Biscuit saw it, and he goes flying in, and then there's a tunnel coming up, and she ends up jumping onto it. Very, 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 very cool. So then the train scene ends, and we see where the train goes, right? And it's to this Conor McGregor type dude, some Irish bad guy, and the train is D9X. So I have a question for you guys. Does that reference anything? Does D9X reference anything? I see the X and I think like X-Men or something. Like, does it reference anything from any comic? Should I know what that means, or is that just the name of the comic?
Not that I know of, but I have no doubt it's something like a comic run or something. They're always putting little Easter eggs in there.
See, that's what I was thinking. I just didn't know if I should know it.
It has to be like, and the only thing I could think of, like, I don't know what maybe with the 9 is like, but when I saw X, I thought X-Man immediately, and then but like the D, I'm like, well, Daredevil was in the first one. Maybe there's a connection. Deadpool is coming out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm curious if it's one of those characters.
D9 DP. I don't know. There's
something
there. And then he tells the dude, why don't you open this one? As he walks out, guy opens it up, and the entire armory blows to smithereens. That melts basically, as Maya Lopez says. Pretty cool armory burning blow up scene right there. Any thoughts on like the ending of the train scene and what the outcome was of it?
So I think when I went to rewatch it today, I think I fell asleep right before that part actually takes place. Was it actually an armory? Like, do you see guns and everything before?
I don't know. You don't see that, but she says at the end of the episode, she goes,
"Okay,
I burnt or how is he?" He's like, her uncles or something is like, you started a war, and she's like, well, how are she's like texting him, and she's like, they're not gonna be able to do that with their entire armory melted or whatever.
Yeah.
So
totally missed that, but that makes sense. I just remember thinking that it was probably an armory, but good. Now that I know it totally is,
yeah,
makes sense. Makes sense why the explosion was so big too.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Instead of just
absolutely.
whatever she put in that one container, she blew
It
up a
was
bunch of
weird.
bombs.
It's like if you watch it, it's like smoke that he like opens it up and it like lifts a pin and smoke kind of like fills in this little capsule, and next thing you know, it all blows up. It's pretty interesting. I thought. Brian, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I guess my question that I would ask you too is, so obviously she tried to get help from her uncle, and he pretty much turned her down because he's like, I don't want to start a war. So she does it on her own, and like the train is like linked to him or to that specific station. Do you think she's being a little like reckless or careless? Like, because these are people like that I assume that she cares about. You know what I mean? Like it's her uncle, you know, it's her town. Like, do you think that she's being reckless, or is this a part of a plan? I don't really know how to feel with that part.
So the next thing I wrote down says,
No.
got her uncle fucked in the meantime. Oh, yeah, I think he's being extremely reckless. Like, this is your family. Like, we see her see Bonnie in episode 1 or whatever, all growing up working at the fire department. Like, we know that her grandma and grandpa are here. And even if she doesn't like them because they casted her away, her family away, like, she goes and meets up with Uncle Henry. They seem like they have somewhat of a bond. Like, yeah, I think that's extremely reckless. Like, that's crazy to me. But she must think, well, I shot Kingpin, right? He's dead. So all I need to do now is kill the armory, and I'm gonna lead. I'll be the leader, or whatever. Like, there's not gonna be anything like that. But to answer your question, Brian, I think it was extremely reckless. I couldn't believe it. I literally, like I said, wrote down, got her uncle fucked in the meantime. Like, this is just fucked up, dude. I'd be so mad if my niece did something like that and put me in.
Put your initials on it.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be in bad with the mob boss, dude. Like, and he even says, he's like, if shit rolls down the hill, it's not going to fall on you guys. It's going to fall on me. You know what I mean? Because I'm the owner of it. So, yeah, Maya, what are you doing? Joel?
I definitely think it was just a really poorly thought out plan. She's just like you said, she thinks Kingpin's dead. So they're all, all his minions are kind of trying to take whatever's left, she thinks, since they're all split up. So I think her plan was get rid of the armory, then they won't have a stronghold near her family. So she thought she was protecting her family in a just really, really bad way. Like, let me blow up something in my town. Surely that won't have any repercussions.
Surely.
Right.
Then I believe, to be honest, I right after my last thing I wrote down, I don't remember. I think there was only maybe one more minute of the episode. Maybe I missed something at the very end of it. But it's really funny because you see Biscuits roll back into town in the truck that's like got a bumper laying on the ground, and Grandma's looking, and he's just like, it's one of the funniest scenes in the entire show. I absolutely love it. It's so great. I love Biscuits more than anything. Unless I missed something, which if I did, please bring it up now. How did we think of episode 2?
So I got to bring up something that you missed. Very important. Biscuits couldn't sell his PS4. Like, that's ridiculous. That was a deal. It was only asking for $125. Come on now.
That was right after I turned it off. Damn, I remember that now.
This is in 2025, so they might already have a PS6 by now.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's 2 years, so that's next year. They might have a PS6 now. You're right. You're right, dude.
They keep popping those things out.
All right. Episode 2. What did we think? Don't everyone talk at once. Calm down, everyone.
I'm trying to collect my thoughts here.
All right, then while you collect, Brian, episode 2, what did you think?
Yeah, so I mean, it's I love the way that they're setting up, like, for there to be some serious repercussions to her actions. Because I don't know if you mentioned the one where her uncle says, it's when stuff rolls downhill, but didn't he also make a comment about it's the people closest to you that get hurt or something along those lines? And so, like, I'm wondering, okay, are they trying to foreshadow something, that's going to take place later? And because of those reckless actions, it now has me concerned for the people closest to her, because we haven't really met Bonnie yet. Like, we finally got to see her, you know, up close and hear her voice in episode 2, and then we see Biscuits, and like these seem like some great characters. So it does make you worry. So now I'm a lot more invested, because now I know of her family and the innocent ones. Like the older ones, like the grandpa seems great. Like the grandma, like I said, there's something shady, I feel, and I don't know what it is, because she made the comment about make sure Maya just passes through town. Like, we don't want her to stay. It's like, man, like, this is family. Why you want them to just move on? Like, you don't like them that much? You know what I mean? It's been 20 years. Don't you want to, you know, break bread and embrace them? But these other characters, the Biscuits and Bonnie, like, now it's like, okay, these are some truly innocent people, not that the other ones weren't, that could be caught in a crossfire. So it does make me a little bit concerned. So I like how this episode is like really bringing in that vulnerability to it as well.
Awesome. Joel?
I was really impressed by because I didn't expect that train scene at all. I was really impressed by it. Echo Maya having those espionage skills. Like, how did she know how to do all of that? It's like a Mission Impossible level task that she's taking on. A really poorly, I mean, well planned out as far as how she executed it. Really poorly planned out by how it's going to come back and bite all her family members in the ass. And like you said, Brian, it definitely raised the stakes for the rest of it, because now you're not just worried about Maya getting hurt; you're worried about her entire family and the innocent people getting the wrath of Kingpin, because you know he's back and you know he's going to be pissed, and he doesn't handle being upset very well.
It does not. And now we get an angry Kingpin. Like, yeah, that's gonna be tough.
As if he wasn't pissed enough from getting shot in the face. Yeah. Now he just blew up his armory. Yeah.
Yes, I loved episode 2. Not as much as episode 1, but it was a really good episode. We got to see more Biscuits, so I was very happy with that. We got to see an awesome train scene. I'm very happy, very pleased with episodes 1 and 2 so far throughout this show. Come back next week, and we will be talking episodes 3, 4, and 5, the finale. I can't wait. Appreciate everyone listening, watching, doing it all. If you're watching on YouTube, go listen on Spotify and Apple and vice versa. We're on it all. Marvel Friends After Work, we appreciate you. Go Marvel.
Go Marvel.
Go Marvel.
I never